Hello, Gemini, and welcome to the part 2 of your reading. All right, so let's just start it off. Of course, in the first part, we were speaking of you being a silent observer to a situation at hand, in which you are going to learn valuable information that will, in a sense, educate your high priestess energy. And with the high priestess energy, you know, the high priestess is very, she is very discerning. She can see the things that lie beneath the surface, right? So, of course, we were talking about how those two factions hadn't figured out what had caused the separation. But with your vantage point on the issues at hand, and also having that outside perspective, it's essentially it's showing you the core of the issue, right? You're able to see the underlining reason as to why those two were separated. So, we're starting off the second row of your reading with the devil card. I'm trying to find where my camera is. All right, so we're starting the second reading off with the devil, and the devil here is coming out as it's talking about cycles that are repeated over and over and over and over and over again, especially with it coming out below the world. You know, these two energies are very different. So whereas the devil energy kind of keeps you in a loop, trapped in a loop of the same, repeating the same cycles, the world energy is the complete opposite. I mean, it is starting brand new cycles that you haven't yet experienced before. So there's kind of like there's kind of like a tension between these two energies. So whereas you are trying to create a new world for yourself, you know, and earlier I think that was in, yeah, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but we were talking about family, right? These being almost like family members, if you will. And so whereas you were wanting to start a brand new cycle, doing something that is outside the norms of the family, because these are fixed signs, meaning that they are, while they are capable of change, they are more inclined to want to stay fixed, meaning that they are more inclined to want to stay within this devil cycle. Devil cycle meaning cycles that are unhealthy or toxic, or just not conducive to evolution, right? Because before we were talking about how you being the outsider, and learning from this situation is evolving or upgrading your high priestess energy. So that's what this devil energy is speaking about here. And you know, the devil energy is this is what you're looking at. You're looking at the cycles that others are involved in that they might not even see themselves, because if you look more deeply into the card, you can see that there's two people here, down here, which you wouldn't necessarily, the lighting is a little funny, you wouldn't have seen unless you looked a little bit deeper. And that's what this High Priestess energy, High Priestess and the Tiger energy, that's what these two energies are speaking of. Looking deep, being able to look deeper into the Devil energy. And what you're seeing here is, well, one, you're seeing these two you're seeing the two that have, right? Okay, so you're seeing the two that have been, right, separated. There's something with, having to do with because they're blending in the background. There's something having to do with, like, I was gonna say the sepia color, but it might not necessarily have anything to do with the color. What it's talking about is the blending in the background, which is very interesting because we have the Tiger energy that was coming up as you, right? You being the Tiger energy, you blending in the background, being a silent observer. So in a sense, it's almost coming out as like you are like you've almost like infiltrated this energy and blending in, and without being noticed, because you're blending in, you're able to see deeper into the Devil energy. And what's interesting though, this is really interesting, because these two, if these two are the two factions that were split, right? That means that they also have the same Tiger ability that you have, which is, which is the High Priestess energy, right? Well, there's something about how they're not, because they are within the situation, and within the situation can be talking about, like, because they're more emotionally impacted by the situation, they can't see like the depth that you can. All right, so I'm feeling as though they can't see, with the Magician and the Devil coming in conjunction with each other. This is this is very clear. This is, and I think that that's how it's appearing to you. It's like, it's so clear. This is manipulation, right? You can even see with the puppeteer fingers of the Magician, and, you know, along with like the message of looping along the same type of cycles, those types of things. This is specifically coming up as manipulation in general. And it's like these two, although they do have the Tiger energy like you, it's almost like that energy, their Tiger energy, is being manipulated in some type of way. And I'm seeing this kink here because, you know, we have the Ouroboros, which is talking about, you know, the cycles that we go through. And in the Magician energy, we also have the Ouroboros, but you see there's this figure 8 here. And this is talking about there being a kink in the cycle. There's some type of hang on. This energy here is causing a kink in the intuition. That's what it's speaking of. It's causing a kink in their tiger ability to be able to, it's talking about like learning from their lessons. There's a kink in their ability to learn from their lessons. Meaning that they're not seeing what you are seeing. And that is why, okay, this is why you're being brought into the situation, because an outsider's perspective in this instance is necessary, because you're going to almost like, in a sense, like, I was gonna say that you're going to show them, right, that this is really what's happening, but it's kind of like if you were to tell them the answer, because they're not coming to it on their own, like their own conclusions, by you telling them the answer, that's what keeps them within this cycle, right? So it's almost like your presence is merely enough, because as being a mediator, you're asking questions, you're getting answers. It's like you are kind of helping them to find it for themselves. And I feel like the particular subject of manipulation that is being witnessed here has something to do with it's kind of coming out, it's not kind of, it is with the King of Cups that is following the Devil and the Magician energy. This is coming up as like emotional, like an emotional manipulation. So you're a witness to I don't know why I'm kind of getting like sucked into like, well, who exactly is doing, like, which faction is doing this, you know, because we see, I mean, with the King of Cups being presented here, I mean, I know that the gender and doesn't particularly matter, but with, I almost want to say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who, what, I mean, I guess, I don't know why I'm getting caught up on this. Like, I'm getting caught up on like who to blame. Okay. So I think that the individuals in question that you are mediating for are getting caught up in who's to blame. Who's to blame for some type of like emotional manipulation or something along, you know, and this can even be talking about, well, the King of Cups, that's interesting. So the King of Cups has one of their traits is that they tend to keep their emotions to themselves. they're not, it's not like the Queen. It's not as expressive. Now, the emotions are definitely felt very deep down, but because it's not being expressed, you know, when things are not expressed necessarily, others can kind of like jump to conclusions, if you will. And so, because I'm questioning whether or not it is actually emotional manipulation, or if it's just being perceived that way because this is like an unknown, right? Like if these two are not like they're separated, right? So if these two are not speaking, then it can promote them to kind of like jump to their own conclusions, think about things that aren't actually necessarily like true, right? Because the High Priestess, her discernment level is so high that she can see the truth behind situations, right? So in an instance, like they are it's like it's their own mind that is, because we have the Six of Swords and we have the Magician here that is coming underneath it. It's like their own mind is the source of the emotional manipulation. That is fascinating. And that's what you're seeing. You're able to see that it's actually in their mind. You know, look here, even here in the Magician, you can see the sword through his head. So it's talking about that the two factions that you're dealing with, it's almost like they've made, because they have been in a sense separated and almost like in a sense unknowing of what the other is doing, their mind has kind of like jumped to all of these conclusions, and it's caused them to feel as though the other is emotionally manipulating them, but when in fact actually they are the ones that are doing it to themselves. Because they have, right? They have the tiger energy, just like how we were talking before. They have that. They know they can. But, right? See, okay, hopefully you can see it. But it's in the mind. Do you see? I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully, I don't even know where the hell the camera is. There it is. Yeah, he's holding his head. It's in the mind. It's in the mind. So, we're kind of like coming up towards the end of your reading, and I'm seeing so we have the King of Cups being presented here. The King of Cups is underneath the Hermit energy. And remember, the Hermit energy was one of the factions that had, I don't know why I'm calling them factions. The Hermit energy was one of the factions, right, that's bringing you this High Priestess, and that High Priestess upgrade. So we have the King of Cups that is now carrying that knowledge that it's actually your own mind that is emotionally manipulating you. And I'm seeing him move towards the temperance energy. So when looking at this as a whole, what we're seeing is the movement. What we're seeing is the movement away from this devil energy and towards the temperance energy. And it's kind of talking about like, now if this King of Cups energy here, if this King of Cups is actually the one, right, that is doing the emotional manipulation, if you will, we're talking about this one here, right? The experience of the emotional manipulation happening is to bring an upgrade to the High Priestess energy. So that's the purpose of this experience. But it's almost like there is a secondary, so that would be like one side of the situation, right? The other side of the situation is that this one is learning that is, it's almost like this one is learning that is indeed what they are doing. It's like it's like they didn't know that's, did they know or did they not know that that's what they were doing? I'm a 2-2-2-2. I'm trying to determine whether or not this is like a subconscious thing, like, you know, something that you've learned from your childhood that is like, oh, well, this is just how it is. But you don't see the error in your ways until like a situation like this happens and it's brought forth, right, from the depths. So what I'm seeing here is that if this one, you know, they're the ones that are doing the emotional manipulation, it's like because the other has received this upgrade, if you will, that High Priestess upgrade, it's like because of that, it's almost like because of that, it's like they got caught or something. They are turning towards the temperance energy, and they are almost like they're not playing the game anymore. There's no more game to be played anymore. They don't, it's like they're making a conscious decision to not play games anymore, is how it's coming out. You know, they're not wanting to participate with this devil magician energy anymore. They're wanting to participate with the temperance energy now, which talks about love, light, I'm looking at the cups and, you know, because of course temperance has a lot of significant meanings to it, but it's coming out as being very well, angelic, of course, but also like, I want to say I'm wanting to use words like intentional or like understanding how to properly move these waters in a way that doesn't lock them down, in a way that doesn't, in a way that isn't emotional manipulation. You know, the waters being emotions, like in a way that doesn't lock them down. They are free flowing. Yeah. So I feel like overall this is kind of, it's basically talking about a faction. You're bringing an awareness to a faction that is causing some type of emotional manipulation on another, and by literally just your presence is one of the factions is undergoing an upgrade in their high priestess energy, and another faction in the other faction, I don't know what is up with factions. I don't even understand where this word is coming from. But the other one is kind of like, okay, I'm done playing games. Like, I'm not going to move forward in that type of way anymore. There's something about, I don't know particularly who this is for. It might be, there's something about, I'm seeing this tree at the bottom, and it has to do with, this is just, the message is kind of like finished now, but this is like a side note. There's something about like a Daphne, like Apollo and Daphne. Because Apollo, right? Apollo chases Daphne. This is a Greek mythology. And she prays out, right? She prays to her, actually, she calls out to, I think her father is like a river god or something along those lines. And she called, I'm saying river because we're talking about the waters. And she calls out and she asks for him to help her. And in doing so, it turns her into a tree. So, I don't know, there's something with that story. Like the chase, because he's chasing her. I don't know. Look up that story. Check it out. But there's something about that story. There's something in that story. You know, we were speaking about the Page of Pentacles. There's something in that story that is going to help to bring an awareness. All right, Gemini. I'm so pleased with your reading. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for allowing me to read your energies. I will see you next time. Bye, Gemini.